Hello and welcome. You're watching the F&O Show on BloombergQuint, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Dsouza.
Hi, I'm Agam, Vakil, and here are the top headlines for this hour. Well, the Indian benchmark indices trade at new highs and the Nifty moves above the mark of 10,200 for the first time. And traders continue to accumulate long positions in Bharti Infratel as its open interest increases further in its futures. Godrej Agrovet lists at a premium of more than 30% on the bourses, and Nifty Bank's shareholders don't seem too impressed with Bharat Financial's deal. Stock trades nearly 2% lower in an otherwise upbeat market.
All right, let's take a look as to how the markets are trading, and clearly it is the festive cheer that one can see in the markets right now. It's been a good start to this new week as well. This is the Diwali week where Nifty is trading at all-time high levels of above that mark of 10,200. India Wix, actually it was up on Friday as well. A marginal upside tick has been seen for India Wix today as well. Let's see what the Bank Nifty is doing. Remember, the 25,000 mark is the one which everybody has been watching out for Bank Nifty. Once that mark has been taken out, probably it could trigger more upside for Bank Nifty. Let's focus on Nifty first and tell you how the options data is panning out. Well, clearly the Nifty PCR, which is at all-time high in terms of October series, it is about hovering around those levels of 1.6. Why the Nifty PCR has been moving up? Clearly there are some hedged bets which has been seen in the markets. There has been immense put writing one has seen in the last 4 to 5 trading sessions, which has actually changed the template for the market. The base for the market has been shifting higher in the past few sessions. If you look at the maximum OI concentration, it is at 10,000 put as well as a 10,200 call. So clearly going ahead, 10,000 is looking as a good support level for Nifty. In terms of which are the strikes which have been active today, the 10,200 put strike has seen some sort of open interest addition coming about in today's session. In terms of Bank Nifty, index has been trading above all its key moving averages from 20, 50 or 100 or 200-day moving average. But as I mentioned, 25,000 is the mark which the traders will be watching out here. And Bank Nifty today is a little bit subdued, up about only 84 points. But important to highlight, FIs have been selling in the cash segment, Agam, but in the last 4 to 5 sessions, we've observed that some sort of positioning has been seen on the bullish side.
Yes.
If you look at the index futures now, they started the series with net long on the index futures. That ratio was 56%. That has gone up to 60%, as you can see it on your screen. Even if you look at the options data at the start of the series, they had written more of calls, but if you look at the data now, the current data tells you it is 48% vis-a-vis 59%, which was there at the start of the series, which is clearly telling you they could be selling in the cash segment because of whatever worries, earnings are not coming about. But clearly the market is trending higher and they're trying to make some money in the futures and options market.
Absolutely, Navneet. It's very evident in the cash numbers as well. And, I do want to address some of these stocks which are doing very well in today's day of trade on the back of fresh longs. But before that, let's go across and take a look at what and how Godrej Agrovet's listing has been. It has listed at a premium of nearly 30%. We also have Somit Sarkar, who joins us to tell us a little more about how the listing has been and what we can expect going forward in terms of what the street is expecting. Hi, Somit, tell us what are the analysts telling us about this listing?
So the stock listed at a premium of 161 to its issue price of 460. That is what a listing gain of around 35%. Now this was much more in the expected lines. Now, analysts were expecting a premium of 160 rupees per share and listed at a premium of 161. So let's see how the valuations stack up after that. Now the share price of 650, the market capitalization of the company is more than 12,000 crore, while the price to earnings is at 43 times and market cap to sales comes to around 2.3 times. And at a share price of 750, the market capitalization of the company would cross 14,000 crore, while price to earnings would hit 50 times and market cap to sales would be 2.6 times. The company had raised around 1,157 crore at an issue price of 460, and the issue was subscribed more than 95 times, with most of the demand coming in from the HNI side. The HNI portion was subscribed 236 times, while the QIB portion was subscribed as much as 151 times. Now if you see the revenue contribution, now if you see the business and the revenue contribution of Godrej Agrovet, in the revenue contribution side, in the last 3 years, the contribution of animal feed business has fallen from 78% to 47%, while that of crop protection business has doubled. Now the reason behind this is that the crop protection business is a high margin business. Now the EBIT margin of crop protection in the first quarter of financial year 2018 stood at 25%, while that of animal feed was just 6%. Now Godrej Agrovet is a diversified research and development based company operating across 5 different business verticals. The animal feed business is the largest one, and it has a production capacity of 2.36 million metric tons, and it has more than 4,000 distributors. The crop protection business has 2 manufacturing facilities and 2 research and development facilities along with 6,000 distributors on its payrolls. The oil palm business, Godrej Agrovet is the largest oil palm producer with 5 operating palm oil mills in India. The dairy business is saturated in South India with 9 processing units there and a daily procurement of around 0.63 million liters. The poultry business, it entered the poultry business through a joint venture with Tyson Foods, and currently the poultry business is significantly underpenetrated in India and is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 20% over FY17 to FY20.
All right, so that is a premium listing when it comes to Godrej Agrovet, and not only is it at higher valuations, but we're also looking at prospects when it comes to growth, and we will be keeping an eye on what the management as well as a lot of analysts have to make. But for now, another 31% up move when it comes to Godrej Agrovet in terms of its issue price. But moving in, let's also address some of these stocks which are buzzing in trade today when it comes to the futures and options space. I do want to address some of these counters which are looking at a substantial increase when it comes to open interest. Of course, I will be addressing Dsouza Bank in a little more detail, but Bharti Infratel, Godrej Industries and Dsouza Bank also gaining substantially. Bharti Infratel is a curious one because it has gained nearly 30% in open interest, an increase there over the last 3 to 4 sessions. Piramal Enterprises among others. Are we looking at substantial unwinding? Not as much. NIT Technologies, we're looking at unwinding worth 2.5%. NTPC, ITC, JP Associates, L&T, we're looking at some amount of unwinding, but the momentum clearly is with fresh positions being made in the markets right now. That said, let's pull up what Dsouza Bank is doing right now. As you've already seen, we're looking at a 20% addition towards open interest. Well, this is, of course, towards the short side, considering the fact that Dsouza is declining by as much as nearly 2%. So traders for now are looking at taking a negative view on this particular stock. On the other hand, let's pull up Bharat Financial Inclusion and what their futures are doing right now. If you will notice that Bharat Financial Inclusion has seen another 2.5% increase towards open interest, while the stock itself is moving by as much as 3%. Do remember that when it comes to the swap ratio, that has come in at a premium valuation for Bharat Financial Inclusion. This was, of course, on Friday's price was sort of nearly 11%, which is why you're looking at a little more gain coming in as far as the stock's concerned. Though not too much to speak for when it comes to the open interest accumulation. But on the whole, good day for Bharat Financial Inclusion. Maybe not the best day for Dsouza Bank. Navneet.
Well, clearly the deal is sealed, and that's good news because the market was speculating this deal for a very long time. Well, before we get our guest on the show, here's a reminder. If you have any queries regarding the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. You can also write to us on Twitter, Facebook with AskBQ hashtag. Let's welcome our F&O experts for the day then. Hemant Tukral of Aditya Birla Money and Bhavin Mehta of Daulat Capital are joining us right now on the show. Good morning to both of you gentlemen. Appreciate you joining us today on BloombergQuint. Well, let me go across to Hemant first and get his view on Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. Hemant, what should one do on Nifty at all-time high levels? Do you see the next target of 10,500, which a couple of analysts now have been talking, but it looks like Nifty has to sustain above the 10,200 mark for a few days to reach there?
See, good morning. I have been extremely bullish on Nifty of late, but I feel that now for this expiry, we will face some resistance around 10,300. 2 prime reasons. One, the put-call ratio is slightly on a higher side, I'll put it that way. I don't expect ever put-call ratio to sustain above 1.8, so that will be a tough call for Nifty. And the other side would be that Bank Nifty has to cross the all-time high. Remember, Bank Nifty, if doesn't crosses 25,200, then Nifty will find it very tough to grow past 10,300. So yes, undertone is still bullish, but I feel around these levels, now Nifty will find more of consolidation happening. I don't see a single side run from the current levels.
Bhavin, would you be concerned about the Nifty put call ratio, or are you expecting the Nifty to even go higher from these levels?
Nifty definitely, we have seen good base formation around 10,000 now, close to about 10 million shares in OI, around 10,000 strike. So definitely we will see some amount of consolidation. However, with festive season ahead, I am sure that the current trend should probably continue. PCR ratio is definitely a concern for the index right now. However, there is no major concentration of OI on the higher strike as far as calls are concerned.
Right.
So definitely, since we are in an uncharted territory, the index has a potential to move higher. There can be some amount of unwinding in view of a sharp run-up that we have seen since expiry. I mean, the expiry low, the previous expiry. Since then, we have seen a one-sided rally in the markets. So there will be some amount of consolidation, but I believe till the time we stay afloat above 10,200, sustain above the same, there can be a good rally in the offing for the index.
All right.
All right, so positive view somewhat coming there on the markets. So let's shift our focus to options corner now and get you some option strategies on Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. Well, these two contracts are the one which are heavily traded in the market. Pawan, let me come to you first. What's your Nifty strategy on?
My view will be to go long on Nifty 10,300 call, which is currently right now trading somewhere around 40 bucks. Stop loss will be close to about 20. On upside, we believe that the movement sustainability about 10,200 will be positive for the index, and we will see a move closer towards level of 10,350 to 400 in very short period of time. So that will be my strategy on the index. It's a plain vanilla call buying strategy.
Right, so it's a plain vanilla call on the Nifty at around 10,300 strike for Bhavin. But Hemant, you continue to remain with your call on the Bank Nifty?
Yes, Agam, I still feel that Bank Nifty has to lead the rally. And if I exclude IndusInd Bank today, I think Bank Nifty could have crossed 24,850. So I think nerves will settle down in IndusInd Bank by day end. So what I recommend is to buy 24,800 call at around 118 to 119 levels. This is for the expiry on 18th October itself. Stop loss should be kept as 81 and a target of 167. So that means in next 2 days I expect Bank Nifty to touch 24,950.
Okay, so that's the option strategy coming on Nifty as well as a Bank Nifty. Just Hemant, you were talking about IndusInd Bank, which is definitely weak. Agam highlighted some data points with regard to open interest addition with regard on short side. Would you recommend taking any trade here at a time when open interest has surged nearly 21% for the October futures?
See, I would recommend a short only if IndusInd Banks goes below 1690. Reason is that one, the IndusInd Bank has huge put writers around 1700 zone, and technically also when it broke 1700 on the upside, it gave a fresh breakout. So I think that should act as a support. So if it moves below 1695, then I would definitely recommend to go short on IndusInd Bank.
All right, so caution coming in as far as IndusInd Bank is concerned. But Bhavin, Bharti Infratel, a surge of over 30% odd in open interest over the last 3 to 4 days. Of course, we also had the news element coming in. But what would you advise your clients to do now with this particular counter right now?
We have seen a good amount of accumulation earlier in the series. Since start of the series, we have seen consistent buying coming in for Infratel counter as well as Bharti Airtel. So I believe that move will continue on the long side. There is a high probability that stock will move higher from current level. There is a chance of stock moving closer to 480 to 490. At the same time, the base for the stock will now be closer to 410 to 411, which was the level where we have seen good accumulation. Right. At the same time, breakout. So definitely continue to hold long if you have a long position on the stock. So.
All right, so continue to hold on to your long positions on Bharti Infratel, the stock which has been surging in the last 4 to 5 trading sessions. Well, it's time to address some of our viewer queries now, and our first caller is Ritesh Yadav, who's calling us from Chennai. Hi Ritesh, tell us what you want to ask our experts today.
Hi, good morning. So I want to buy a lot of Tata Steel's October futures for rupees 685. So do you think I should book profits?
Right, so Ritesh has bought one lot of Tata Steel October futures at a price of 685, and I believe he's in the money. Let's just pull up Tata Steel futures. Yes, it is trading at 718. Hemant, do you think he should book profits at 717, or you expect higher levels for Tata Steel?
See, I will not ask him to book profits at all because I have been quite bullish on metals. I don't see these things changing. In fact, Tata Steel has now started seeing put writers accumulating at 700, which gives me a very big comfort. So I would keep a stop loss of 700 only for him so that he remains in money. And I think the stock has the potential to test 728, 732 levels. But metals across the board are looking bullish, so I will ask him to continue to hold the stock.
All right, so you can hang on to that particular stock, but moving in, we have a live query coming in. This one is on Facebook, and it's from Ankit Upadhyay, and he asks, what is your expert's view on Power Grid? Well, Pavan, can you take us through that?
Yeah, Power Grid went ex-dividend last series and then post the same. I mean, historically, whenever the stock has gone ex-dividend, the interest in the stock, reduces drastically. And since then, we have seen correction in the stock price. It went down to level of somewhere around 199 to 200. Now there was a fresh built up over last few trading sessions. The OI witnessed a significant spike since level of 200.
Right.
So definitely till the time this stock holds above level of 190, 195 on the downside, there is high probability that we will once again retest the higher level that was close to about 220 to 25 on the stock price. And overall trend for the stock continues to remain positive. The downside remains very limited. So definitely one can hold on to the long position on Power Grid.
All right, so you can hold on to the long position on Power Grid. Do we have any more viewers?
Yes, we're getting more live queries there, Agam. And this one comes from Naushad Alam, who's written to us. He wants to know what could be the view on Bank Nifty today. Hemant, you've been tracking Bank Nifty pretty closely, and everyone's been watching out for that mark of 25,000. In terms of support and resistance for the day on Bank Nifty, what would you advise, Naushad?
See, if it's an intraday trade, as I can understand from the question, then the stop loss should be kept as 24,600 and the target on the upside will be 24,950. In fact, till the expiry, I don't expect Bank Nifty, this 18th October expiry, I don't expect Bank Nifty to cross 24,950. At the same time, I expect it to hold 24,600 at least till 18th of October.
All right, we also have several queries which have come to us over the weekend. So let's address them. The first query which has come over the weekend is from Rahul Dave, and he is short on one lot of Indiabulls real estate October futures at 215. And he wants to know if the stock can correct from current levels. Bhavin, your call here.
Stock is frequently moving in and out of band. F&O futures will extinguish from the December contract. So definitely a difficult call to take whether stock will react negatively before that, because there is a good amount of concentration by few hands, close to about 13 participants holding close to about 40% of OI or something. So overall view, since he has bought around 215,
yes.
So definitely the long position can be held on upside to 60 to 70 can be possible, but at the same time downside should be restricted. Stop loss should be placed in this particular trade, because if reversal happens, there is an unwinding pressure that will happen, because that we have already observed happening in the Syntex trade. Right. So before stock, because of the stock going X due to corporate reason. So the same thing can happen in Indiabulls real estate, but 195 to 200 level should be carefully held on to the particular stock as a stop loss level. At the same time, on upside there is high probability we will see once again a good spike coming in for the stock. Right. So continue to hold on to the long position.
So stop loss of 195 to 200. That is what you suggest.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
All right, that's the view coming in on Indiabulls real estate. But let's move on to our next query then. This one comes from Seema Kapoor. Seema has bought Nifty 10,100 put strike at 65 rupees. She wants to know if she should exit her position at current levels, considering she's bought a put and the markets have been trending higher. She's pretty much in losses right now. The premium has shrunk to 30 rupees. She bought it at about 65. Hemant, almost over 50% of the premium has been eroded. Would you advise Seema to just cut out her position, or it makes sense to hold on till expiry, considering this is also a truncated week?
See, first of all, as a golden rule of option buying, whenever the premium comes down below 50%, one should come out of the positions, because it's very clear either the time is swept away or either the trend is against. So there's no use holding on to the option. It's much better to come out of it and save whatever money she has got. And as I suggested, still the trend is positive. The only thing is we have to wait and slightly be cautious because of put call ratio. So let's see, if it slips below 10,200, then she can add on again back the trade. But right now she should exit from the trade.
All right, so well, there you have it. You must get out of your position right now, considering the fact that the indices are trending higher. But there is one more stock that I want to address, and that's JP Associates. It's moved back into the band right now, and we have been getting some questions here as well. There has been a little bit of unwinding. But Bhavin, what would you do when you hold a position in a certain stock and that goes into the band? What would you do with JP Associates in this case and right now?
Okay, initially we see some amount of pullback coming in for those stocks. In fact, before the ban, most of the stock witnesses a good run up.
Right.
So that is what we had observed on Friday's trade. Two of the stocks, JP Associate and Infibim, both went into the ban period. So view is that continue to hold on to the long. However, volatility will reduce significantly. At the same time, the stock momentum continues to be on a long side for both. In a similar situation, the GMR Infra, JP Associate, the momentum continues to remain strong. So one can continue to hold on to their long position. At the same time, on upside, if it takes out 21 level, definitely we will see good amount of movement. So my view will be to continue to hold on to those stocks till the time trend remains on a side of a bullish player.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Okay, so hold on to your positions on JP Associate is the call which is coming. But on that note, let's also get you some other trading strategies for the day. Heyman, over to you. What would you recommend our viewers?
See, I would recommend three scripts in fact today. One is HPCL. I really feel that OMCs are trying to form a base, and the way the option writers are accumulating around 450 put, I think HPCL can move from the current levels. So I would keep a stop loss of 455 and a target of 480. India Cement is another stock where I feel that the stock has now started seeing some put writers coming back at 180, which is a very good sign for this stock because it was struggling to cross 180. So I would keep a tight stop loss of 179 and a target of 187. One option stock call I would like to give, that is HDFC Limited. I think the stock has formed a bottom around 1745, 1750. So it should test 1800 according to me. So I would recommend to buy 1780 call for around 18 rupees with a stop loss of 11. That would actually coincide if the stock moves below 1750, and a target of 31, which will come if the stock comes to my target of 1800.
Coincidentally, Bhavin also has a call on HDFC, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Havells. Bhavin, can you take us through those?
We are positive on Havells India. Stock is currently trading somewhere around 540 levels. View remains bullish. We believe that stock will move closer towards level of 574, where we have placed our target. The stock will be coming out with quarterly earnings next week, so just before the expiry. So that will keep stock under momentum. At the same time, stop loss for the stock remains around level of 520. For HDFC, we continue to have a positive view. There is a good amount of OI development happening already in the stock since level of 1720, 1730. At the same time, downside remains very limited in this particular counter. So definitely a bullish view on the same stock. So continue to remain on the long side.
All right.
All right, so those were a couple of trading strategies for the day. Before we wrap, just want to highlight a few of the metal counters which have been buzzing from the likes of Jindal Steel as well as JSW Steel. And once again, Nifty Metals Index is your top sectoral gainer for the day with gains of almost 1.5%. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. We would like to thank both our guests, Pawin as well as Heyman. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Well, don't go anywhere. Hot Money is up next with Darshan Mehta at 12 p.m. Stay tuned into BloombergQuint.